She said, "I'm just confused," but I saw her love notes hidden in her makeup bag. I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at the small, folded piece of paper in my hand, my heart hammering in my chest. I don't know how long I'd been holding it, but the words on the paper burned through me like fire, even though they were so simple. I could hear her moving around in the bathroom, shuffling through makeup bags, humming to herself. It was such a normal sound, and it felt like the last thread of normalcy between us was about to snap. I walked into the bathroom, and she froze when she saw me. There was a moment of confusion in her eyes before her face twisted into something guarded. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't need to. The paper in my hand was enough. "What is this, Mia?" I asked, barely recognizing my own voice. It was calm, too calm, considering how my heart was racing. I held out the note between us like a weapon, but I could barely keep my hands from shaking. She sighed, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Tom, please." Her voice was soft, pleading, but not in the way I needed it to be. I needed answers, not excuses. "It's not what you think. I swear." I felt my grip tightening around the note as I held it up, almost as if the paper itself had somehow betrayed me. "Then explain this to me. I found it in your makeup bag, Mia." "How the hell do you explain that?" I could feel the heat rising in my face, my pulse thudding in my ears as I spoke. But there was something else too, a sinking feeling. This wasn't just about the note anymore. It was about everything that had been eating away at me over the past few months. The late nights, the unexplained absences, the distance between us that felt so much wider than just physical space. She didn't say anything for a long time, and the silence between us felt like it was swallowing the room. Her eyes flicked nervously toward the door, like she was trying to find a way to escape the conversation. Finally, she sighed again, and I could see the frustration in her shoulders, like she was preparing for something harder than she had anticipated. "I'm just confused, okay?" Her voice wavered, but not in the way I hoped it would. There was no desperation to make things right. Only a quiet surrender. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. But I don't know what I want anymore. I don't know what I'm doing, Tom. The words hit me like a slap to the face, and I felt the world tilt. Confused. That's what she said, but it didn't make sense. Confused didn't explain why I had found the letters. Love notes, passionate ones. Hidden between her lipsticks and brushes, the kind of notes you'd write to someone you wanted to be with, not someone you were just confused about. I wasn't supposed to be snooping. I know that. And maybe if I had just let it go when I first noticed the change in her, I wouldn't be standing here now, confronting her in our tiny, sterile bathroom with the hurt written all over my face. But honestly, I didn't know how else to handle it. Mia and I had been together for almost 5 years, married for 2. The first year of our marriage felt like something out of a rom-com. We just moved into a cozy little apartment in the city, decorated it with all the things we loved, and everything felt so easy, like we had everything figured out. I could have sworn we were happy. But about 6 months ago, things started to change. It wasn't an overnight shift, nothing so obvious at first. It was the little things. The longer hours at work. The sudden interest in going out without me. Spending more time with friends I'd never met. She started coming home later, smelling different, dressing differently, and when I asked about it, she'd always say, "It's just work, Tom. You're overthinking it." And maybe I was. Maybe I was being paranoid. But the distance between us felt so real, like there was something happening that I wasn't a part of anymore. Something I wasn't allowed to see. So I started noticing things. Like the way her phone screen would light up and she'd immediately lock it when I walked into the room. Or how she would take her calls in the other room, with her voice just loud enough for me to hear, but never enough to make out the conversation. One night, I decided to check her makeup bag. I wasn't proud of it, but something inside me snapped. I felt like I was losing my grip on the woman I had married. I started poking around just to see if I could figure out what was going on, and that's when I found it, the first letter. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make my stomach drop. It wasn't even addressed to anyone specific, but the words were intimate, full of longing and desire. The kind of things you'd expect to hear in a love letter, not a passing note between friends. It said things like, "I can't stop thinking about you. Every time I see you, I feel like I'm home." I knew who it was from before I even saw the signature at the bottom. Luca. I had met Luca once at a dinner party Mia had thrown for work. He was charming, flirtatious, the kind of guy who made people feel at ease. And from the moment I shook his hand, something about him unsettled me. There was this undercurrent of something off, like he was just a little too interested in Mia. But I let it slide because I trusted her. I trusted her. The letter wasn't an isolated incident either. As I dug through her makeup bag, I found more. 5 more letters, all filled with the same intensity, the same need for Luca. The last one, the one I'd found this morning, was the worst. It didn't just mention how much she missed him or couldn't stop thinking about him. No, this one was a promise. Next week, I'll make sure we can be alone. I need to feel you, Luca. I need you in a way I can't explain, Tom. The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the room was closing in on me. Mia had been carrying on some sort of emotional or even physical affair with Luca behind my back, and I had no idea. I felt sick to my stomach. How could she do this to me? To us? I didn't confront her right away. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Maybe I was being irrational. Maybe there was some other explanation. But when I saw the note in her hand, the same way I had found the others, something inside me snapped. I couldn't just sit there anymore, pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. I watched her now, standing in the bathroom, her face pale and flushed, like she was trying to pull together some kind of defense that would make everything okay. But there was nothing she could say that would make it okay. She had already said it all when she told me she was confused, and I couldn't just overlook it anymore. Confused, I repeated, my voice rising despite myself. Mia, are you serious right now? This isn't just confusion. This is a choice. She winced at my words, but I wasn't about to let her off the hook. I wasn't about to make her feel like the victim in this situation, like somehow this was my fault. You've been hiding these letters from me for months, Mia. You're not confused. You've been lying to me, and you've been lying to yourself. You know exactly what you're doing, and I'm done pretending I don't see it. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she took a shaky breath. Tom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I never wanted to hurt you. Her apology felt hollow, like words she was saying because she knew they were expected, not because she was actually sorry for what she'd done. Then why didn't you stop? Why didn't you tell me before it got this far? I would have understood. Hell, I would have wanted you to tell me if you were unhappy. But you didn't. You kept lying. And now I have to stand here, knowing that I've been living with someone who's been giving parts of themselves to someone else. She started crying then, her shoulders shaking as the tears fell. I didn't know what to feel: anger, betrayal, sadness. It was all mixing together in a way that didn't make sense. I never meant to hurt you, Tom, she whispered through her sobs. I didn't know how to end it. I didn't know what I wanted, and I got scared. But it didn't matter. It didn't change the fact that she had done it. She had crossed the line. And in that moment, I knew that there was no going back. The trust was gone. The love was gone. And now, all I had left was the shattered pieces of a marriage I had once believed in. Part 2. I should have walked away then, right in that moment when the weight of everything hit me. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I stood there, staring at Mia as she cried, each tear pushing me further into a place I didn't recognize. It was like watching someone drown, knowing you could pull them out, but not being sure if you should anymore. I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, to make her feel the devastation I was feeling. But what would that even accomplish? Nothing's going to fix this. Her face was streaked with tears, her makeup smudged, her eyes wide with fear and guilt. She looked so small, so fragile, like a version of her I had never seen before. And in that moment, I hated her for it. Why did she have to make me feel like this? Why did she have to destroy everything we had for something that, frankly, I couldn't even understand? I don't want you to be sorry, Mia, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, thick with emotion. I want you to explain how we got here. How did we get to the point where you had to lie to me? We were carrying on with him behind my back. She sniffled, wiping her eyes, but she couldn't meet my gaze. I didn't want to hurt you, she repeated, her voice breaking. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know how to tell you I was losing myself. My chest tightened. Losing yourself? I scoffed, trying to suppress the anger threatening to spill out. What does that even mean, Mia? You were happy with me, weren't you? I thought we were building something real. I thought I was your safe place. I thought you were, she said, a broken laugh escaping her lips. But I got caught up in him, and I didn't know how to pull myself out. I didn't want to be that person. Her voice faltered, and she seemed to shrink under the weight of her own words. I ran my hands through my hair, my thoughts a jumbled mess. So this is it? I'm just supposed to accept that you were confused, and then what? Try to put everything back together like nothing happened. She stepped forward, reaching out for my hand, but I pulled away. It wasn't anger that made me recoil. It was the deep hurt. The disappointment. I didn't know who she was anymore. Please, Tom, she pleaded, her voice softer now, but still desperate. I never wanted to hurt you. This wasn't about you. It was about me. I've been so lost in everything, my work, my past, this whatever it is with Luca, that I forgot what I really wanted. And I want you to be the one I choose. I swear, but I don't know how to fix it now. I don't know if I can fix it either, Mia, I said, the truth settling over me like a weight. Maybe I can't. That was the hardest part, the realization that maybe I couldn't fix her. And that maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to. The next few days were a blur of tense silence, scattered conversations that felt like we were trying to piece together a puzzle that didn't fit anymore. Mia had moved out to her sister's place temporarily, or at least that's what she said. I couldn't bring myself to care enough to check. I spent hours pacing around our apartment, the space that used to feel like home now suffocating. The walls seemed to close in on me, and everything reminded me of her. Our couch, where we'd spent lazy Sundays together. The kitchen, where we used to cook dinner side by side. The bedroom. God, the bedroom. It felt like a crime to even step foot in there now. I'd always thought of our relationship as solid. Something built on trust, mutual respect, and an unspoken understanding. But now, I was left questioning everything. How'd I miss the signs? How'd I not see that she was falling for someone else? Was I so wrapped up in my own complacency that I failed to notice her slipping away from me? Part of me felt like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. Maybe if I had been more present, more aware, this wouldn't have happened. But another part of me, an angry, hurt part, wanted to scream that it wasn't my fault. She made the choice to betray me, to lie to me, to give a part of herself to someone else. I couldn't escape the images in my head. Mia and Luca, laughing together, sharing glances that were meant for me, not him. The thought made my stomach twist in a way I couldn't describe. I felt like a stranger in my own life, unsure of who I was anymore. After a few days, Mia reached out to me again. She wanted to talk. I didn't want to, but of course I did. How could I not? She was the woman I had loved, the woman I thought I knew. But who was she now? When she walked into the coffee shop where we agreed to meet, I felt that familiar ache in my chest. She looked the same, wearing the same cardigan she always wore, her hair pulled into that messy bun that I used to love. But she was different. There was a distance in her eyes, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. We sat across from each other, and for a long while, neither of us spoke. The silence stretched between us like an impassable chasm, heavy with everything we hadn't said. Finally, Mia broke it. "I miss you, Tom," she said, her voice low, as though she was afraid of the words leaving her mouth. "I miss us. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I want to fix this. I want us to work. I don't know if I can believe that anymore," I said quietly. The words tasted bitter, but they were true. I couldn't trust her, not like I used to. "You were so sure about it, Mia, and now you're telling me you want us back? I don't even know who you are anymore." Her lips trembled, and she looked down at her hands, twisting the coffee cup in her fingers. "I get it. I do. I've messed up beyond repair, and I understand if you don't want me anymore. But I've spent the last few days thinking about what I really want, and I know I made a huge mistake. I let fear and confusion take over. I let someone else fill a void that you've always been there to fill. But I choose you, Tom. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I want to try to make this right. I can't imagine my life without you. I don't want to." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for a split second, I thought I could see a trace of the woman I had married. The woman who used to laugh in the kitchen while we cooked dinner. The woman who used to leave notes in my jacket pockets just because. But then the reality of the situation hit me again, and I realized I was standing at a crossroads. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her again? I don't know, Mia, I said softly, the pain creeping back into my voice. I want to believe you, but right now I don't know if I can. She nodded, her eyes filling with tears again. I'll give you time, Tom. I won't rush you. I just wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this. I love you, and I need you to know that. But the truth was, I didn't know if I loved her anymore. At least, not in the same way. The trust had been shattered, and I didn't know how to rebuild it. I didn't know if I could. I walked away from that conversation feeling heavier than ever. I still loved her in some broken, painful way, but love wasn't enough to make everything go back to the way it was. Maybe that's what hurt the most, that we weren't the same people anymore. And I wasn't sure if we ever would be again.